Hello everyone. Today I'm going to walk you through a soothing period yoga flow to help alleviate any bloating, lower back pain, and tight hips that come with that time of the month. So let's just begin by grounding ourselves, finding a comfortable seated position, maybe taking a hand to your heart and your belly. Take a few deep breaths here, showing our bodies some love, and giving ourselves some grace for the way that we feel right now. Taking a moment to thank ourselves for showing up and for taking this time to relax. It's not always easy, especially when we don't feel our best, but I'm so proud of you for being here. Gently open your eyes, and we're going to begin by starting in butterfly pose. Option to use a pillow as a prop just to elevate your pelvic bone a little bit and open up the hips. We're going to sit with the soles of our feet together and let our knees fall out to the side. Gently flapping our wings and releasing any tension that we might be holding. Maybe taking a bend forward if that feels good. Listening to your body and moving in any way that feels right. From here, we're going to extend our legs out in front of us and prepare to come into a seated forward fold, keeping that pillow right where it is if you want a deeper stretch. Inhaling our arms up and exhale, folding forward, leading with our chest. Allowing your hands to land wherever they want to land, whether that's your toes, your ankles, or your shins. Let your head and neck be heavy, and with each exhale, sink deeper into the pose. Inhaling one last time, filling up our back, our sides with air, and exhaling it out. From here, we're going to move into our cat-cows. You're going to want to come onto all fours in a neutral tabletop position. Fingers spread wide, even pressure throughout the fingertips and palms. And on the next exhale, we're going to round our backs like a cat. And on the inhale, we're going to send our gaze up to the sky, arching our backs into cow. Exhale, rounding our spines. Inhaling into our cow pose, arching our backs. Continue taking a few more of these, matching your breath with the movement. Take a moment here to move in whichever way feels good to you. Maybe wiggling your hips side to side, maybe taking some barrel rolls, lowering your stomach down and around the imaginary barrel. And if you chose to take the barrel rolls, make sure to do the same on the other side. From here, we're going to step our leg forward into a low lunge with the back of the knee on the ground. Sink your hips towards the floor to stretch the hip flexors. This is going to release any tension in your lower abdomen and back. Option to come up onto the knuckles here, or maybe even use a pillow on either side to support your wrist and shorten the distance to the ground. Breathe into this position and let the tension melt away. Gently step it back and switch legs. You may notice one side feels different than the other. That's completely normal. Again, maybe come up onto the fingertips, the knuckles, using a pillow or a block to support yourself. If it feels comfortable, maybe rocking back and forth in this position. Taking a few more breaths here before we transition into our wide-legged child's pose. From our tabletop position, we're going to widen the distance between our knees to create a little pocket for our belly to slide in between. You can have your arms by your side or out in an extended child's pose. It might even feel good to take a pillow and place it in between your legs or underneath your head. Again, listen to your body and decide what's going to be best for you. Remembering to breathe in and out. Feeling a deep release in the hips and the lower back. Take one more breath here, and we're going to float our way back up to our tabletop position and prepare to come into our pigeon pose. We want to have our front shin parallel to the top of the mat. If it's a little slanted, that is perfectly fine. We just also want to make sure our back leg is straight and in line. We're trying to have neutral hips here, so if you want to use a pillow or a prop to put under that hip of the bent leg, that's going to help you be more stable and keep your hips squared. Once you feel like you're balanced in this position, start to take some deep breaths into it. You can make your way down to your elbows if that's comfortable, or maybe even rest down completely in sleeping pigeon. Listen to your body and see what feels good here. We want it to be the perfect balance of effort and ease, so pushing ourselves but making sure we're not in any pain, and if you feel any sharp pains, be sure to come out of this. Just a couple more breaths here, and then we're going to switch to the other side. Slowly make your way up. We're going to swing that back leg around to the front and send our front leg to the back, making sure that shin is parallel to the top of the mat again. Making sure our hips are squared forward and using that pillow as a support underneath if they're not. You may notice this side feels way different than the other, and that's perfectly fine. Release any judgments you may have about how flexible one side is compared to the other. Just breathe through this position. On the next exhale, see if you can sink a little deeper into this pose and melt onto the floor. Wherever you might be in this pose, we're going to slowly rise up and swing our legs back to the front. Meet me on your back. We're going to bring our knees to our chest and give ourselves a nice little hug. You might want to rock here and feel that little massage against your back. Go slowly and do what feels good. From here, we're going to transition into happy baby. So you're going to take the outside of your feet and you're going to push your feet up towards the ceiling. Maybe rocking side to side. This opens the hip, stretches our lower back, and helps relieve cramps. Play around with this position. Maybe you want to extend one leg. Maybe you want to extend the other. I like to bring them into a butterfly pose in the air, but just kind of mess around with it and see what feels good, what your body wants. Take one more breath here and we're going to head into our spinal twist. So we're going to bring both knees to one side, keeping our shoulders grounded, gazing over the fingertips of that opposite arm. You should feel this stretch all throughout your lower back. On the next inhale, we're going to slowly twist back up and drop our knees to the opposite side. Keeping that opposite arm extended and gazing over our fingertips. Remembering to breathe throughout this position. This is also great for any digestion issues. With the next breath, we're going to slowly twist back into a neutral position. We're going to keep our knees bent and prepare to go into our bridge pose or our supported bridge pose. So for supported bridge, you can place a pillow underneath your sacrum. If you want more, you can go ahead and press your hips to the ceiling. If you want an even deeper stretch, from here you can interlock your fingers underneath you and walk your shoulders towards each other to raise up even more. This is a great counter pose for our lower back, especially if we're slouched over all day at computers or looking at our phones. We're only here for a few more seconds, so take one last breath. Slowly lower down, one vertebrae at a time. We're going to come into an extended butterfly pose, so bringing your legs into butterfly and grabbing opposite elbows over top of our head. If you need extra support here, you can place a pillow underneath each knee. You can also push your feet further away from your body to make more space. We want to release any lingering tension here and begin to fully melt onto our mats. From here, we're going to transition into our final pose, corpse pose. We're going to lay flat on our back with our arms at our side. If you want, you can go ahead and place a pillow underneath the knees. This is really going to take any tension off your lower back. Maybe tuck your shoulders in and slide them down your mat, creating as little space as possible underneath your lower back. Shavasana is just as important as a yoga flow. This is where the effects of the practice really sink in. Our minds don't like being still, our minds don't like being quiet, so it is completely normal for your mind to wander here. But when it does, just notice it and bring your attention back to the breath. Noticing any sensations that are arising in the body, any emotions that are coming up. Releasing any judgments around these observations. Slowly start to bring your attention back to the breath. We're going to begin to add a little bit of movement, so maybe begin wiggling your fingers, wiggle your toes. Maybe you want to take a nice morning stretch. Slowly making our way over onto our side in fetal position. And when you're ready, you're going to push back up into a seated position with your eyes closed. Taking a few more breaths here before we move back into our day. Breathing in gratitude for all that our bodies do for us and for taking the time out of your day to make yourself feel better. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Namaste, and I hope to see you soon.